Okay guys, welcome back to another video tonight. This is my other character that I've been playing this season. I've had the most fun with this one. This is Leapquake. Okay, now Leapquake is a Diablo 3 build, and they're bringing it over to PD2. I made a video about Leapquake, I think a couple seasons ago, but I was ill-informed about a lot of things, so this is a follow-up video. Nothing's really changed with Leap Attack this season, but it's still extremely good. So there are a few ways to play it. I've created a spreadsheet here that is a calculator, and I believe it's pretty damn accurate. I spent a whole week on it, and it is pretty extensive. This is the first one I've made that does include damage from open wounds, crushing blow, and procs accurately. And it uses accurate numbers for mob health. It uses accurate uptime for proc chance. It's kind of insane what I've made. And so of course I'll provide that in the video. And just like all my sims, it's in the same sheet. Any field that's in yellow is something you can enter a value for to change, to test things. And the drop down boxes, of course, all work. And then the final damage is here. So I have a single target damage, and then I have AoE damage. So the big thing about Leap Attack is its AoE damage is bonkers compared to its single target. Single target damage is dog shit. It's the worst, well, probably the worst for single target. But yes, you can change all the parameters here for how many targets you're hitting. It's all using what I believe to be average things. Like on average, you'll hit 4 targets. Blade Shield will hit 3 targets, and so Fissure will hit 4. So you can adjust all that, and it will change the numbers. But I think this is a pretty realistic scenario, and it also shows you the percentage that's physical and the percentage that's from Fissure. And okay, so let's go back to the sheet. First of all, there's a few ways to play. You can go pure damage, and the most popular way to do that is with a huge ethereal polearm. The second most popular way is to use Zere's Resolve, which gives you 1 min damage per energy, and it's a totally different way of playing. That's not included here in the calculator, but essentially that's one way to do it. Then you can go full bleed, or you can go proc builds. Okay, and the proc builds are, I think, the best, and we're going to talk about why. So the whole build revolves around this item, Rapture. Okay, so a few things to get out of the way. Number one, Leap Attack does not use durability of your weapon. So you can use a ethereal weapon that does not have a Zod or some repair mod on it, and it'll never lose durability. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Leap Attack does not use regular splash damage. It does not splash damage when it lands. So things like using Frenzy to get stacks to increase your melee range, worthless. Doesn't do anything. Okay. Number three, Leap Attack does not scale with increased attack speed. It always leaps at the same speed when, caveat, when you are clicking right next to you. If you're clicking across the screen, the travel time can be increased by 2 items, the Cyclopean Rage Helm and the Gorefoot Boots. However, neither of them increase your kill speed for mapping by any considerable amount, so they're not worth getting. So that's the other caveat there. The fourth and most important caveat is that Leap Attack, when it lands, does a hit check, a striking check basically for each target. So if you are landing and you hit 8 targets, all 8 of those targets roll its own check and can apply on striking to all of them. So for most normal melee things, if you attack once, you have a chance of proccing things on one attack, and then you splash and hit multiple enemies with the melee splash. With Leap Attack, if you land within 3 mobs, you get 3 chances to proc. So basically, when you're landing, you are proccing everything that you can proc 100% of the time. Well, not 100% of the time, but very high, as you can imagine. You're getting more chances to proc compared to anything else. And it also another caveat here, Innocence, which gives Blade Shield. Really, Blade Shield works very similarly to Leap Attack in the sense that it's the same thing. Every mob in range will do a on striking check. Um, so those two things combined give you immense procking. So I'm just standing here. That's just my Blade Shield, and of course fissures are going off, twisters are going off, getting lower resist, and so that's really the meat and potatoes of the build. Is that a leap attack is very good at proccing things, and two, innocence is very good at proccing things. Now they kind of have an anti-synergy with one another in the sense that while you're traveling through the air, okay, or leaping, your innocence cannot attack. Only when you're stationary. So there is a brief pause where you're leaping, and when you're in the air, your innocence can't hit things. But when you land, it can. And so it's not always going to line up, but it is definitely more procs using an innocence than it is using anything else. And that's just a straight up fact, okay? So those are the main things here, is that we're procking stuff. So these two items, non-negotiable. And of course, you make an Ethereal Rapture in a Thunder Maul. That is the highest base damage you can get. Because you do considerable, like, actual melee damage, right? You can see I do 2 to 11k, which is, like, decent, right? Not nothing. Okay, and so that's the story there. So A, you're getting lower resist procs all the time, and B, you're getting fissures. Now let's talk about fissure, because fissure is a weird ability. Through extensive testing and going online and reading shit, let me just show you what fissure looks like first of all. Okay, so fissure's happening. See these little like vents opening up. So within some area, when fissure's casted, it lasts for, well, I have it all written down in the sim here, but basically, let me find it. Find the exact values for you. Okay, so it's this times that. Yes, so it lasts for 2.2 seconds, right? And then each fissure that opens up lasts for 2.2 seconds. So the whole duration of the thing occurs, and then each fissure that opens up will have its own duration as well. And so basically, because of the way next hit delay works, if more than one mob is standing on one fissure, each mob will reset the next hit delay, and they will be getting hit here 12.5 times per second. Yes, which is insane because it's based on the frames. So the amount of times that fissure actually hits things is way more than you expect. It's hitting it very rapidly, and when you have a big clump of enemies, the chance that they will be hit goes up, and the odds that there's always two in one fissure goes up. And so single target is awful, but as soon as you have more than one target and they're clumped together, magic happens, and essentially fissure does a fuck ton of damage. Now, the total number of fissures that occur within that little time frame, I think, is 22 fissures. So that's not really relevant. But you know, two fissures could hit one target, and that would count as more hits as well. So it is wacky, man. It is just absolutely wacky when you have high density. Single target, not so much. Okay, and of course fissure does fire damage. The only way to increase our fire damage as a barbarian is these guys down here. Fire mastery. So that's what we're running for our charms, because it does actually increase our fissure damage by quite a lot. You see I have 51 fire mastery here. I could have more with some faucets in my helm, but instead we're doing something else, which I will get into. Okay, so that's number one. Number one is that primarily we are doing a lot of fire damage with this build. That is the most amount of damage is fire damage, okay? And so that's because we're doing fissure, we're amping the fissure up with fire mastery, and we're also casting lower resist constantly, okay? Everything is constantly lower resisted. All right, So all those three things together make for very high damage, okay, and in a big range. And also the nature of that damage is such that it's not instant, okay? You leap, you get your procs, and things burn in the ground. Um, they don't instantly die, okay? And so what goes well with that? Open wounds. Open wounds goes very well with that because not only are you, oh, this guy hits hard. So you can see, look, he's immune to physical, and it's single target, and so he's gonna take forever to kill. And that's one of the things that's not good about this build. But yes, so you can see single target, no good, absolutely no good. This is garbage, right? And I'm also getting cranked. So, but the fissures do eventually kill him, right? Now, of course, I could shout and break his immunity, but that's also not much damage. And I just fucking died. I knew I was gonna die. Anywho, yes, let's go back to town for a sec. Let's go back to town for a sec. I'm gonna heal, and we're gonna talk more about Leapquake. Of course, I don't have money, so I have to go here. Really don't like that. That's been annoying this season. Okay. All right. So now we've got our head back on straight. I'm gonna get to this cow map in a sec. But yes, so that's the Rapture, and another thing, that's great about Rapture is it has high deadly strike. Because we have such a big damage range on the actual physical damage landing, deadly strike does matter. And we get some pretty high deadly strike with this build without itemizing for it. Okay, we also have ignores target defense, which is great. Okay, so ignores target defense works on regular mobs, basically 100% hit chance. On minions and on champions and elites, it doesn't apply. So your attack rating does matter. However, you get a ton of attack rating from all this stuff. So don't worry about that. The main thing is that you're pretty much always hitting. And yes, so let's move on. We talked about innocence. We talked about rapture. We talked about why it's good. Let's talk about open wounds, okay? So you'll see open wounds is the second thing you want to work towards. And you want to get to 100% open wounds so that every time you land, you apply open wounds because you don't want to go backwards. You want to be leaping forwards and having things die behind you. And so open wound stacks 3 times, and the damage is like that, multiply. So I'm doing 3k damage. It's basically 9k damage once it's at 3 stacks. Okay, and so the way I'm getting that is my Merc actually has thorns. Thorns gives you open wounds percentage, and so that's how we get to 100. That's very important with this build. Okay, and that'll depend on your Merc. Your Merc needs to be a certain level. And yes, the Act 2 Merc is the best because guess what? You're using Infinity. Infinity lowers their magic resist even more, and it doubles up with the lower resist and makes the fire damage just bonkers. We're also running Flickering Flame, which, as you can see, gives me my fire res high enough to actually survive, and also gives another 10 fire mastery, so that's huge. Hustle is just for attack speed, and the rest is for him to survive. Okay, so that's the Merc. And the rest of my gear here is open wounds gear. Okay, so the Drax open wounds and also life after each kill. Of course, Fissure is what's killing things, so having life after each kill is amazing. Gore Riders for open wounds, and this Rakecor's Virtue, because in order to get to 100% open wounds with this setup, the only way is with wearing an Atmos. Now, if you know anything about Diablo 2, you'll know you cannot apply more than 1 curse unless you have some item that allows you to. And so because we are running lower resist, which we want, if our Atmos procs with the amp damage, it'll overwrite the lower resist, and then that's no good. And so in order to get around that, guess what? We use Rakors, which allows us to apply an additional curse. And so That negates the bad part of having this overriding, but you know, it's also a pretty good helm for us. The double throw and double swing doesn't matter, but if you get a three-socketed one and you put open wounds jewels in it, combined with the atmas and these other items, you get right to 100% open wounds, which is really good. And our open wounds is pretty high, right? It's not the best, but it's still pretty good. It's supplementary to the fissure damage. Okay, and that's kind of what's going on here. Also, a good thing to note is all skills in this is also really important because leap damage actually does scale quite well with all skills, and you know, natural resistance, iron skin, general mastery with the crit chance. All of these things really do help. Barb really scales well with all skills. And so, in terms of the abilities here, you're just going to put 1 point down to get to leap attack. You're not going to max any synergies with this setup. You're going to put 1 point in all the regular stuff you'd expect here. We are going to max deep wounds, and we're going to max general mastery, and we're going to max battle command. Okay. And then lastly, we're going to max Grim Ward, which is the synergy for deep wounds, and the remaining points go into leap attack. And so rather than putting all the points into leap attack and getting its damage up higher, we are focusing on high open wounds as a secondary effect. Okay, think bleed damage over time. That's the gist of it. So it's this fire, fissure, bleeding, leaving things in your wake kind of build, and also because we have this incredible proc chance. Carrion Wind does become extremely strong on this build. Level 30 Twister is 14 Twisters. Each Twister is doing 300 damage. When you're leaping into a huge pack, your Twisters are all going to hit. And of course, they're not going to hit the same target, but the damage is spread out. And it's actually an immense amount of damage. And also, Twister is boosted because it's physical damage by Atmas. And so we have this amazing synergy going on where we have both the curses. So much is going on. The weakness of this build is that it doesn't have any PDR. Its resistances are low, and so you do have to make up for that with not getting full inventory of your damage charms. And it's purely a mapping build, and it's purely for maps that are extremely high density, and that leads us to cows, right? So that's what we're gonna do. Obviously, bow sticks on the swap, and I already went over the Merc with the Infinity and the Flickering Flame to boost our fire damage even more. And the Merc is, of course, Thorns, giving us the 100% open wounds damage. Okay, so let's just go into this map, and let me just try to not pick things up and just go with it. So let's do that. So it's note the time is 23, and we're going to see our DPS, and we're also going to see how quickly we can complete this map. And you'll see that as you leap, it is a ridiculous amount of things occurring on your screen. I like to leap 3 times and then just carry on. You see our DPS is 230. We're going to try to get it as high as we can. I'm not going to stop for anything unless it's a high rune or something really good. We will come back to loot. But for now, this is kind of where we're headed. So we're almost at 300 DPS, 300k DPS. And yes, the thing is not everything's going to die, but this is not a build that's for full clearing or really caring about completely killing everything. This is a build where you just leap through the map and try to do as much damage as possible to as many things as possible. And so I'm going to head up to the side here, and we're just going to do a big loop around the whole map here. And yes, the more the merrier, because the more things that are together, the more procs occur when I leap, the more life after each kill I get. It's just completely absurd. The speed and the damage, it's just exponential. And there are very few builds that are even close to what this build can do, as far as I can tell. So yeah, let's just keep going here. Took 2 minutes just to leap up here. My Merc is dying, so let me just heal him. You don't want your Merc to die. Wait a sec. That is an insane shield. I'm gonna have to pick that up. That is an Ethereal. I think Elite shield. No, just exceptional. That's too bad. That would have been a very good smite, or what do you call it? And like, you know, when I'm actually playing, I don't do this like speed running shit where I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get the map done as quickly as I can. I do, you know, open up chests and I backtrack and whatever. So, you know, this is not how you should play by any means, because there is a limit for what can be on the floor. You do get items disappear, they poof if you don't pick them up. So it's really not smart to just leave stuff and come back to it. Of course, it's not a big deal if you lose some jewels or gems or whatever. I'll pick up that sigil. We're also gonna go. We're gonna definitely go for the boss here, because seeing how slow the boss dies is important, because it is a weakness of the build. You do obviously want to kill the boss, but yeah, and you can see like the DPS meter, right, is 270 DPS, right? And so after I'm done this, remember that number, because I'm going to show you my simulation sheet, and you'll see just how close it is. Of course, cows is a ideal location, and you can see my Merc died, so we're going to go res him right after this. And yes, the cow queen, once there's only one left, it is slow going. Alright, so that's cool. I'm gonna very quickly go res my Merc. Prop him up. That was 5 minutes, I think. Oh, and you know what? We are just gonna do one of these. We're gonna go back to the start. And I'm gonna just go the other direction. Unfortunately, you can't leap over these walls. Tried it. It's kind of annoying that you can't. But yeah, you can just see the carnage, right? It's wonderful. And yes, this does. You can definitely do a war cry too, to do more pierce with your physical. But yes, with conviction and with the lower resist curse, you are absolutely breaking any immunes that you come across for fire. It's not even a contest. So another thing to note, this build is a very powerful build for group play, because groups, it just scales really well. Not only are you providing conviction and lower resist, and 2 types of damage, physical and fissure. Bleed damage is, you know, like when you play in a group with like 8 people, mobs have a ton of health, so they have a chance to actually bleed out and take the full bleed damage that you would be getting. And your fissures can get their full duration. So, you know, in groups, it is a fantastic amount of damage. It scales really well. Kind of like how Vengeance does in Sacrifice. It's something that does more damage the healthier the mobs are, and the more the mobs are. So. And of course, anyone running Might Aura or Fanaticism or Conviction or Concentration is going to increase your physical damage. You know, someone with a better source of amp damage is going to increase the damage of, pick that up because those are good. The damage of your bleeds. A sword casting enchant on you would be good because you have a lot of fire mastery. The high level enchant would be a lot of fire damage on hit with leap attack. Pretty disappointing drops, to be honest, with this cow map so far. Like, you would think something useful would have dropped. I've had a couple of things that look like they might be okay, but yeah, really not a crazy amount. So we're getting near the end of the map in terms of like exploring the whole space. Just coming up through the middle now. And there's of course going to be stragglers. That's definitely, this is not a full clearing build. But yeah, a lot of this is undiscovered. And by the way, Twisters pierce, so they hit more than one target. Going through here. So it is actually just bonkers. It's bonkers amount of damage. And you could have multiple fissures on each other, and they would stack and do their damage all together. Okay, and then there's this one little stretch here we're gonna get through. But it's been 10 minutes. And, you know, if my Merc didn't die, and I was actually pretty good at the game, instead of a bomb, probably be able to do this quicker. I don't think the route I took was the most ideal route, but it is what it is. I'm gonna have to reapply my shouts here. Just a few more cows left. And that's what I would say is the whole map, right? When people say, oh, you did the whole map. So 33 minutes. And I think it was 23, so about 11 minutes. Okay. So that's the Leapquake, man. It's a lot of fun, not gonna lie. It feels real good. And you don't just need to do cow maps. Of course, cows is the most ideal map, but you certainly can do other maps. And yes, you can still kill them single target, but it is very slow. So yeah, now I'm gonna run around and collect things, because even though I did the map in 12 minutes, like, I'm not gonna just leave. That would be stupid, right? You know, my inventory is full. I'm gonna have to go back to town, put stuff in my stash, and you know, that kind of thing. Depends what you're willing to pick up and what you're not willing to pick up. I'm willing to pick up a lot of things. I like the gambling of the game, you know. I like the lottery of maybe getting something good with something that could be shit, right? Like large charms. You know, it's probably not worth picking them up anymore, but I'm still gonna do it. All these claws, these amulets, like, I'm really not too crazy about the full rejuvies because I just bought a bunch, but small charm. What is this? Divine scepter. Okay, get some gloves. Get over here. quick ID here. Yes, like most of this stuff is nothing, right? Reality. These things. No. Right. Okay. And so we'll continue our quest here to loot everything. You can see like I was only here once, and like look, there's very few surviving creatures. Carnivore good. Is this one of those things that it's like max poison or whatever? I'm pretty sure those are decent. Yeah, I don't know. Keep looking. Rune Master is never good. Ethereal Edge is another item that's just never good. I'm not gonna loot those. You do sometimes miss elites because they're, they're higher health, so you might miss those guys sometimes. I can't carry anymore. That. Defensive aura, that's worthless. Let's see, this guy, Ruby Jewel of Freedom. Oh. Yeah, I do have that. Cool. Okay. Getting some trades. Ah. Okay, so anyways, so that's the Barb. It's great. I'm not gonna say it's not great. Because it really is. It really is great. I've just kind of gotten bored of it, and min-maxing it is really not necessary. So I don't know. Whenever I have a cow map, I use the Barb. That's kind of how that goes. Maybe Maybe I really shouldn't be wasting my time picking up this garbage. I don't know. Maybe it's unnecessary, but... Okay, well, that's the end of the video. I'm gonna just pick up whatever's on the ground here. Not really anything interesting to see. Don't think there was any big finds. Oh, missed this old chunk of cows in the middle. That's cool, but not good. Almost good. A lot of stuff in this game is like almost good. What's this? Like cow zone I missed. It is a slog having to go back and pick shit up. Definitely not the way to play.